Good morning. This is Elaine Wagenka, Certified Zentangle Teacher, and today I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to use these tiles that you've just received. Here they're labeled Zen Dragon tiles, and I've nicknamed them Dragon tiles. But once you get your package and you open it up, I'm sure you've already read what's inside. There's a little thing inside for you to read. But what is interesting about this is that you have found yourself the owner of these very stiff tiles with all of these interesting patterns on them. So what are you to do with them, and how do you do it, and how do you do it so that it's still fun and not a bunch of work? Because that's what art is supposed to be a whole lot of fun. So let me explain to you what you actually have in your set. And then I'll go back to the other thing. I'm kind of doing things out of order. So what most people do when they first get their tiles is they lay them out in a circle, because after all, that's what they are. They're designed to move in a circle. And what you find is that the circles line up. You just love it when things come out just right. So the circles line up, and that's lovely. And then here's the next thing I invite you to do, is to actually take one of the tiles. This is the beauty of the tiles and why I made them, is that if you take a tile and rotate it 90 degrees, then you still have this string or line that continues around, and that's really curious and kind of fun. And if you do another tile, it does the same thing. So now you have a different path. There's something else to look at. So what this does is invites some play with Zentangle, but it also provides a structure for you to draw your patterns and know that it's all going to come out just the way that you will be happy with. So how do I know these will come out, and how on earth can we do it in a simple fashion? So let me go back to this, and I'm going to show you some very simple patterns. And you're going to look at this and you're going to roll your eyes and say, oh my gosh, what are you talking about? This is anything but simple. But, yeah, and they're going to wiggle on me a little bit. These are the 4 beginning patterns of Zentangle. And so laid out, they do that magical thing. And what I want you to realize about how these are structured is that just because you have a circle there doesn't mean you have to stay within the circle, so you get to play outside of the lines. So even when you're drawing the Zentangle patterns, you can play in any of the areas. You're not limited to just the circle. What I want you to see is that thing that happens when you actually have some patterns on them. So here we go. And let's just, so here's that circle continues here. And even if I turn it this way, I have this very interesting thing of imagination. So my intent today is to show you a few patterns so that you can actually do this, and we'll do this together in a couple of videos down. If you want to look on my website, I'm at www.zendragon.net, and you can look up a little thing called Dragon Tiles, and you can find it in the shop now, and you can also find it in the descriptors. If you're interested in doing this, I'm going to have you grab a couple of pencils, maybe 1 or 2. I'm working on a drawing pad. It's a Strathmore drawing pad. This is a small one. The one that I have in front of me, it's a 6x8. It's nice and neat and tidy. And if you are doing, I guess the reason I chose this is that when I teach my students in class, it's a different thing. It's a face-to-face thing. When it's online, sometimes you miss things And you say, well, you know, what was that? So my intent with this is to actually do a sketchbook experience for you so that we can take notes on the sketchbook, you can see the progression, and it's something that you can keep from time to time. Now, the reason I chose Strathmore drawing paper is that it holds a line, and it actually slows down a line. There's a little bit of tooth to it. There's a texture. So the temptation is to just grab a piece of copy paper, and that will work beautifully, but I want you to know something about copy paper. Copy paper has a very smooth, slick surface. So when you're drawing, your line can go skittering off in a direction that maybe you don't intend. And the drawing paper will slow you down a little bit. So it has a tooth or a grain to it, so that's why I prefer this. But if you don't want to go out and buy something like this, you certainly don't have to. Just know that there's a difference in texture. So when you come to my next video, you're going to see the very first beginnings of the sketchbook, and we'll be on our way, and we'll see you then. Bye.